Okay, my name is Peter Meldrum. Most of you know me, but there's probably a lot in the church that don't know me, and that's my fault. I should have been there more to get these people acquainted with them and know them, and make a real fellowship of our church. But what I really wanted to talk about is the love that's in the church. You know, the widows are a mainstay in the church. They're the pillars. They hold the church together for one reason. They pray a lot. So they're very close to Christ. And I want to talk about that love. The love for that the church has. I'm not going to say that our church is not doing what it's supposed to do. I'm just saying that it's got love given to it, and we're supposed to distribute that love out. And we have a situation with the virus, which worries me sometimes to the point that maybe we have some members that are staying away, that don't have to stay away, or they're not in that category of being too sick or too weak or anything. The church is pretty safe. We can even make it safer if we have to. We could make it the pure church of Elginak. But anyway, I just miss all of you people there at church. And I know there's a lot of people doing what they're supposed to do. But I just wanted to address the people that are not coming to church for small reasons. Them are the people that the congregation has to go and encourage to return back to the church, because there's a lesson in that. Your first love would be when you came into the church. If you stay separated too long, you get comfortable, and that first love starts to wean, and you don't have that first love that you had when we first entered the church. So overall, the church is a very generous church, a very good church. I love the church. The church attracted me in. I was so happy to see the people that I did see. I've had a lot of friends. It was a whole new life for me, but which is good, and which is also good is my children are all still in this church, and they all attend. I told them they cannot use me as an excuse no more, because I want them to be the example too, that they can go to church. And I'm going to attempt to go to church when I'm a little better. Right now they got me in quarantines after quarantine, locked me up. They did for 12 weeks with an infection. It was a bad one. But I got through it all. But it was your cards from the congregation, prayers from the congregation. I could actually feel them prayers. I knew they were praying for me. I could see their faces, which I miss right now. But I also want to be aware of the parable where he left the 99 to go after the one. Well, I got to turn it around and say the 99 got to go after the one. The rest of the church got to go after the one that's lagging. So I'm not blaming nobody. I'm not saying nothing, but I have a lot of time to think when I'm sitting home here all the time. And I pray for the church. And our church, nothing will prevail against it, because God's word said that. He also said that you'll know my people by their love for each other. So I know we have a good church, but that laxing because of the virus. Maybe people just saying, I ain't going back for some reasons. Maybe some of you know them people. Well, them are the people we're going to pray for and get in touch with. There's not probably a lot of them, but every little scare that comes down the line with virus, people back off and kind of disappear for 2 to 3 weeks. All that is very hard. Like I said, even Paul warned about his love. You can't stay away from your wife too long, or you'll put yourself into a condition of easy ability to sin. So he said, get back with your wife. And that's Paul's words. I don't know where them scriptures come from, but they're in my head. Anyway, I've been thinking a lot about the church and what's it going through. I never counted the steps of Calvary, of Christ climbing up and up and up them steps with that cross, which meant that was our cross too. And he was leading us up, and eventually he'll take us up. But other religions made idols and picked up events, or they do events and everything of following Christ up to Calvary to be crucified. I'm talking about the wiping of the face, and all of a sudden you got a face on a rag that everybody wants to worship, or a piece of the cross that you got to kiss, or some people still practice that from that day. It's been applied and used, and I call them people actually fans of Christ. Fans. They just want a piece, and they know a lot about him. But you got to understand, the ones that crucified him were walking and talking and laughing with him. They were being healed by him. They were being fed by him on the mountain. And all this was done. And then they still had caught up into the crowd to crucify him. And that was to make peace in their city. But it turned into political, but it's just something that I learned. So what I'm asking is, are you a fan of Christ? You know all about it? You know everything that he done? Are you a follower? Are you a follower of Christ? There's a big difference between the two, but they mix in the same crowd. I like to consider myself a follower of Christ, and that's doing the will of God. I'm talking now because I got nothing else to think about but the church and the people in it. And if you're a follower of Christ, you got to remember that the church is very important as a basis. That's all Paul did, is establish churches. So churches are very important for the congregations to get together. And in this case, we can be followers, but also we have to take into consideration the workload on John and some of the elders and deacons and all. They're in there doing their best through this COVID, and actually not getting a lot of help. But even if we thought they got a lot of help, or they did have a lot of help, we should still stand up and want to help. We should participate. We should be praising, and we should be paying. Now, get lax on not coming to church, and the first thing you stop doing is not paying your tithes. We're not required to pay tithes, or we don't have to pay tithes. It comes from the heart. But that church has to go on, even during the crisis that we're going through. And we got to understand that the time is going to come when we got to figure out that this is the way we have to live. A certain way. Will it blow away? Will it go away? We don't know what happened. We pray. We pray that it does, but we don't know that. So you have to carry on life day at a time. The day you're in is what you do that day. Because Christ, or scriptures say, don't worry about tomorrow. You got enough to do today. So do it. So I would rally people around more help for the church and John. It's just not a place we go on Sunday and run out the door quick. It's a place that we fellowship. It's a place that we get inspired by the sermons. It's a place that is part of a bigger body, which is the church, is the whole body of church, all Christians around the world. We're a part of that, and we have to do our part. Algonac is our job, and whatever other areas want to come, but we have to be there to encourage and bring these people in. So I'm not scolding, I'm not blaming anybody. I think we have a tremendously loving church. I'm just saying that the little things, the little cracks, we don't want the little cracks to get bigger, that someone falls through them. And that's the people that kind of run on the edge of the fence. They don't know which way they want to fall, or they're going to fall. But I don't know if you know anybody that's not attending. Encourage them to attend. They don't have to attend, but encourage them to attend. Tell them the importance of the church, the mission of the church. And the big thing was that first love. Your first love was of the church. Don't lose that. And that's very important. So if the church is your first love, you will be a follower. You will be a producer. You will participate. You will pay. You will help in any way you can. Now, I love you people, and it's like I said, it's not that I would consider everybody someone that's not doing their job, but there's plenty that can step up a little bit more, and especially when the crisis hits. If it hits again, they delivered meals on the last one, and that was a lot of work, and John had to keep that church together during a crisis, and of course he had God on his side, because nothing will prevail against that church. Our little congregation or the big overall Christian church. It will always exist. It'll never be stamped out. But what makes it powerful, I go back to this all the time, is the love that's in it. And the love it distributes out to the brethren, the strangers, the lost, the helpless, to your brother, to your sister, or anybody. But that love can go out. It's not meant for us to keep. God is love. And He made us to have that love. And so we have to use it. Now, a lot of you know that I've been pretty sick. And I just want to explain a little thing I learned from the sickness. It's the one about the pottery. Potter and the pot. And the pot tried to tell the pottery maker to make me this way. And he said, wait, I can make you what I want to make you. And the pottery, I accepted that, and as his hands were on me, forming me like a piece of clay or a pot or a pitcher, most likely a pitcher. His hands were on me, and they would hit bumps and more bumps. Well, as he smoothed out the clay. But he had to keep his hands wet. He kept his hands wet. He kept dipping his hands down, dipping them in the water, and keep going up and hit another bump. Well, them bumps could be health, which I say mostly is health, suffering, or it could be marriage problems. It could be financial problems. It could be anything that hits the ordinary lifestyle that we live. This hands are forming me in this situation as they hit these bumps. It's probably something to do with suffering in my life. He kept wetting his hands, and then I noticed as I was being formed that he wasn't wetting his hands, but the clay was wet. So I looked back up at him. He was crying. Why was he crying? Because everything I go through, he goes through. If I suffer, he suffers. If I'm lost, he'll find me. But Christ is always there till that pot is done. We will be done at the end. But as I got closer to being finished, I asked him what he was going to use this pot for. And he says, I'm going to fill it with living water, and you're to pass it out. Now I say living water because in the early days, the Spaniards were conquering all of America, South America. And then their generals and their soldiers would stop and bathe in every pond that there was because they were looking for the fountain of life. And they bathed, and in fact it took them a lot longer to go where they were going because they were bathing in these ponds and thinking that they could find the fountain of life. Well, I found the fountain of life, and it's a pond too. It's called baptism. I got in that water, and I got out of that water, and I found myself immortal, going to be immortal. So what they were looking for, Christians today found. And that's what we're about, is to live forever, giving God praise. As now we live, we have to give Him praise, prayer, and service. We have to do service. We can't be inactive Christians. We got to be active Christians forward. So back to that pot. He said, living waters. But it wasn't for me. I wasn't special. I'm just like the rest of the congregation in there. In fact, I love that congregation. I miss it. I ain't going to give names because I might miss a few. But I know my suffering was that pot being made and them rings in there that were being smoothed out as my life went on. And they were understanding, becoming more and more understanding. But it comes to a time when that's finished, and we're finished first physically to do a service to God in the church. I always mention the church because God established the church, but he also established through Paul church buildings. You know, yeah, the building's cute, the building's nice, but we're not there to love the church or call the church building. We're there to worship because Christ is there. When we're there, he's there. What do we need? We need a good sermon. Sometimes we need a good shaking up. And I hope I can reach some of you to the point that you, if you're aware of anybody that's out there that's afraid, and I don't blame them, and I know there's people that have to be out there and they can't come. Like John's mother, she's got cold and sickness, and she's elderly. She doesn't believe that, but she's elderly. She probably sent me the most cards of anybody, and the first half of them were really good, encouraging me to come back to church, and the last half scolded me, telling me I better get to church or she was going to come and look me up. Well, I had a conversation with Sally this week. It was a good one, a good loving conversation. And I also called some other widows. And you might get a call from me. Just trying to renew my relationship because I've been gone too long, way too long. But it's given me time to think this through quite a bit. And I know the help that's needed. I know the virus that's there. But through time, God's people have always made it through the worst. And we can do it again. Not that we're charmed, or he's got his angels around us, which he does. Is he keeping the virus away from us? He could be. Come on to church and we'll tell you what's going on. But we don't have answers to everything, but I do want to emphasize that I'm not scolding, that I'm not preaching because I have no right to preach. I'm talking to you in a fellowship way, person to person, and I see your faces, which is great. I guess I can kind of wrap it up here for actually what I got to say, but I do encourage even my kids not to be lax anymore or use me as an excuse because I'm still very vulnerable to stuff, but I can't give people stuff. I got no power to do that. I'm too weak for that. But I got to be careful. And I just appreciate the cards and letters and prayers. And I wished I could be talking to you in person, because I'd be saying the same thing that I'm saying now. So I'm going to let you go. I hope I can get another little interview with you if something comes up in the future that encourages me to speak it out. then I'll do it. But anyway, as for now, God bless you and God bless the church. Okay. Bye.